was a lot, and I know that some of you that are hearing this right now know very well what this feels like, and you are the reason that I am here. So I want to say thank you for prioritizing you and participating in this inaugural wellness workshop for Mind Plus Neurology members. We plan to do these regularly and kind of alternate between these wellness workshops where there's kind of a longer presentation involved, and as well as doing some kind of more open forum support group type of events. Um, and I hope that you find the information that we share here useful. And again, please type any questions that come up into the chat, or feel free to save them for the end, as we'll be doing a Q&A at the end. Next slide, please, Tracy. So there we go. So I wanted to make sure it worked. So make a plan to plan ahead. So what can you be mindful of before the holiday season? Next slide, please. So first, we're going to talk about holiday travel. So if you are planning to travel by airplane for the holidays, that can be very overwhelming living with a chronic illness like migraine or headache. And I have some tips to share. So one of the tips is booking seats in advance. I found that this is really kind of the best chance for getting the seat that you prefer. Maybe you prefer a window seat. I think that an aisle seat might be the best option, in that you might have more room to stretch and easier access to the restroom. And
can you do me a super big favor?
Go ahead.
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
Oh, I think I'm.
Oh, were you speaking to someone at your home? I think so. And then also, don't be afraid to request assistance or ask for accommodations if required. So by asking, and maybe even contacting the airline in advance, and making them aware of your medical condition that may require assistance, it could perhaps get you an upgrade to a business class seat, or maybe even some extra blankets or cushions. And maybe even obtaining a medical letter from your physician to bring with you to show to the airline or to show to TSA might be helpful as well. Not necessary, but could be helpful. And if you contact the airline in advance, you might also get access to a wheelchair or early boarding, maybe even help with your carry-on luggage. Maybe access to some special shuttles or elevator platforms that you would not have otherwise been aware even existed. They might even give you some extra tips to efficiently get through security. And they might even give you permission for someone to personally accompany you through security and to boarding if you are traveling solo. So don't be afraid to contact the airline in advance and let them know that you live with migraine and or headache, and ask what special accommodations may be available for you. One thing I was not aware of until I was doing some research for this presentation is you can contact TSA Cares, and that's just at tsa.gov. And this is a helpline that's available for people with disabilities or medical conditions to kind of obtain special information about screening policies and what to expect at security checkpoints. And people who need special accommodations can ask specifically for a TSA agent for a passenger support specialist at the airport. I thought that was really unique. I've never utilized that before, but again, you can find more information about that at tsa.gov. And then, of course, packing your migraine toolkit. We'll talk a lot more about that in a little bit later on in the presentation. And also packing healthy snacks so that you're not tempted by highly processed, MSG laden airport and convenience store snacks. And I didn't know this until I traveled and asked for special accommodations for myself, that you can bring any food you want from home onto your flight. So obviously you can't have a full water bottle. And I think a lot of people think that because you have to dump out your water, you can't have a full water bottle. You can't bring any food or drink on the plane. You can't go through TSA, through the checkpoint with any water in your water bottle, of course. But I have packed like full on meals for myself to take onto flights before. And one of my very favorite snacks to pack are like energy balls that are made with like sun butter and some seeds and maybe some coconut flakes. Um, the Dizzy Cook has an awesome recipe for sunflower butter balls that are kind of a good mixture of protein, fat, and carbs to help sustain you on the flight and make it easier to not have to go for those more highly processed convenient snacks at the airport. And then many of those tips and the toolkit certainly will apply to traveling in a car. One other thing is just to think about maybe getting your oil changed or your tires replaced before you hit the road, as to prepare for anything that could happen in advance. Next slide, please. Sorry, I'm just clicking between to make sure we're at the right spot, Tracy. So again, plan ahead. So leaving things to do at the last minute, it is overwhelming and it does feel very stressful. So make a plan to plan. Create a strategy for yourself for getting everything done that you need to. And that might mean making some lists like menu, shopping lists, meal planning lists, gift lists, and maybe even do a little personal journaling to figure out kind of what is most important for you for this holiday season. And don't be afraid to let some things go. Perfectionism is not required. And I tend to be a perfectionist myself, and it can be really hard to let some things go. But no one is asking that you are perfect. Oftentimes, that's kind of something that we take on ourselves. So, this is just my reminder to you that you don't have to be perfect and you can let some things go. Next slide, please. So, this is all about packing your migraine toolkit. So, being prepared means having what you need to deal with an attack as quickly as possible, and hopefully back to having fun and enjoying the activities. So my number one recommendation is to have a water bottle. I hope you can see my water bottle here. I have a reusable water bottle that I bring with me everywhere, always. And hydration is just so important in managing migraine and for overall health as well. Um, Packing healthy snacks, like we already talked about, can be really, really helpful and part of your migraine toolkit to kind of help set you up for success. We'll talk a little bit more about food in a little bit here. Medications and supplements. So be sure to maintain your medication schedule. Obviously, your routine is a little bit different during the holiday season, especially if you're off of work or school and you're used to that Monday through Friday. So just making sure, and if that means setting a reminder on your phone or writing a reminder on a calendar on your fridge or something like that, whatever it takes for you to maintain that medication and supplement schedule is so important. And I did just want to talk about two supplements that I really specifically love for migraine, and those are magnesium and ginger. And if you have a one-on-one session with me, you will probably hear me mention both of those in the first one because I found myself personally and many other clients I've worked with and many other friends that I have that live with migraine and headache. This has been just so very helpful for them. So I just wanted to show you, and I hope that you can see it with this background. This is the magnesium that I use. It's by Pure Encapsulations. See if this will work. I'm trying. Okay, there it is. So this is my favorite magnesium. It's called magnesium glycinate. This one I specifically recommend taking in the evening time as it can really help with sleep. And then same brand, but ginger. So I personally use ginger preventatively every single day, a couple times a day. And then I also use it acutely at the onset of a migraine attack or when I kind of feel that headache starting. And actually, there is a study that shows that magnesium is, or I'm sorry, that ginger was as effective as sumatriptan in aborting a migraine attack, which I think is just incredible. And everyone should know that, as I think many of us with migraine or headache are prescribed one of the triptans. And for ginger to be as effective as sumatriptan, I just think that's remarkable and should be talked about a lot more. So, but don't feel bad about using the meds if you need them. That's what they're there for. Make sure that you have them with you in your toolkit, in your purse or your carry-on, so that they're right next to you and not packed away, or God forbid luggage gets lost, you have them with you on your carry-on. Of course, just be aware of medication overuse and talk with your doctor about how many days per week or month it's appropriate for you to be using these medications to manage your migraine and not to promote more headaches as a result of rebound headache or medication overuse. So also, I love my migraine glasses. These are specifically the brand Avalux. I've tried many different migraine glasses, and these are by far my favorite. They filter out red, amber, and blue light, and they let in green light. And these are actually the only migraine glasses that have been kind of scientifically studied to help support the hyperactive migraine brain. I didn't bring one in here, but I also wear a hat, whether it be a winter hat with a brim or a baseball hat or like a cute, trendy, I don't even know what type of hat that's called, but like kind of like a summer beach hat, but one that you would wear in the fall or the winter. Doesn't matter. I usually don't even care what it looks like as long as it is protecting my sensitive eyes. That's what matters. So don't feel weird about using these types of devices and aids that can help support you to feel your best in these highly stimulating environments. You deserve to feel well, and so use what you need to. I'm going to keep these on now. I also recommend using earplugs or noise canceling headphones to block out screaming babies, people on airplanes, or even to block out family drama. Um, I use these Vibes earplugs. They're actually kind of made for a concert, I believe, specifically, and they kind of dampen out the heavy, intense sound, but they allow in, like, I can have a conversation with someone while I'm wearing them and hear just fine, but it dampens out the really intense sound, and I love these earplugs. And also, like, a lot of the headphones that they make now are noise canceling headphones, and that can be just as effective as well. Um, I don't have any here with me, but earplanes, earplugs, if you're traveling by air, they kind of are earplugs that look like they have like like a screw top, like they kind of appear to look like they screw into your ear, but what it actually does is it reduces the pressure change that is occurring in your head. And a lot of people use those for weather as well. If you are sensitive to changing pressure with weather fluctuations, um, these types of earplugs can be really helpful if you're sensitive to that, not just on a plane, but for weather as well. And then these are called C-bands. And these are like one of my favorite things ever um, for motion sickness. So it's an acupressure point, and this point specifically right here, and it comes with instructions to show you exactly where it goes. I'm kind of guessing right now. But this can really help with motion sickness. I love my C-bands and they have helped me a lot, and I highly, highly recommend that you try those if you deal with motion sickness, either in car travel or plane travel. And then, of course, ice packs and heating pads, which ironically, I have a heating pad on my lap right now, and I have my ice pack here because I just wanted to show you what my all-time favorite ice pack is. Um, it's made by Thera Ice. They come in different colors. They didn't come in different colors when I ordered mine. It just came in black, but this is like really soft and malleable. I mean, you could use frozen peas like I did in high school, certainly too, but um, having an actual ice hat can be really helpful for targeting the pain in the area that you're experiencing. And then you don't have to hold anything on your head. It just fits right on your head. And if heat is your thing, um, there are ice hats that alternate that you can use cold or hot, or you certainly could just use a heating pad as well. Just make sure to pack these items with you, of course. And then if you use any like migraine specific neuromodulation devices, such as the Cephally or the Nerivio or GammaCore, those are great things to pack along with you as well. Um, I love to use peppermint oil specifically. This is a roller ball of peppermint oil that I just can roll right on my temples or the back of my neck when I'm feeling pain. I also like to use this and I'll rub a little bit just right under my nose to kind of mask synthetic perfume scents. I personally am really sensitive to artificial smells and fragrances. And so rubbing that a little bit under your nose can kind of help block out that synthetic fragrance, whereas peppermint oil or whatever oil you choose, whatever oil works for you, uh, it's natural, right? It's a natural essential oil, and it just helps to block out that synthetic smell. And then, of course, thinking about packing any travel pillows or blankets that might make you more comfortable, and any entertainment, any pain distractions that you kind of prefer, whether that be maybe a tablet to watch a movie, or you can just listen to a podcast, or maybe an audio book on your phone, or a regular book if that's your thing too. Um, and then one thing that I personally love is to take Epsom salt baths or magnesium flake baths. And so maybe packing some Epsom salt or some magnesium flakes along with you to kind of plan for a little bit of relaxation time in a bathtub for yourself. Um, that can be helpful too. Okay, Tracy, next slide. So now that you're here, what should you do or not do to avoid headache or migraine triggers? Next slide. Food and drink. I'm sure this is one that you are thinking a lot about this time of year because there is foods and drinks coming at us from every direction, right? So what should you first prioritize consuming? Water, water, water. I also really recommend adding either salt or electrolytes to your water to re-mineralize your water. So I wanted to show you, this is called, I hope you can see it, Real Salt by Redmond. Come on, come on. There we go. It's called Real Salt. I believe it has over 80 trace minerals in it, and just a little sprinkle of that salt in your water can really help your body absorb those minerals and give you even extra energy that just plain water wouldn't give you. Especially if you drink filtered water. A lot of times filtered water is great because it filters out the contaminants in our water, but it also will filter out the minerals that are essential for our survival and well-being. So kind of adding some salt or whatever electrolyte you like to add can be really helpful too. Some other tips are to eat whole foods, of course. And when I say whole foods, I mean non-processed, real whole foods. So like fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, proteins, animal proteins like ground beef or beef or chicken or turkey, for example. And balanced meals with protein, fats, and complex carbs can be really important to prioritize as to kind of maintain a balanced blood sugar level. And we know that there's sweets coming at us from every direction. So having those balanced meals can be really helpful in maintaining homeostasis in our bodies. And if you are worried about what's going to be served at the event, maybe eat at home before you go, or consider bringing your own food to the event to eat for yourself. And don't be worried about what other people are thinking or saying about the food that you are eating or not eating or whatever you bring. You and your health are your first priority, and that's what's important. What other people think is not. I know that's easier said than done, but try not to let it bother you. And I really recommend not fasting, skipping, or postponing meals. That can be certainly a migraine trigger. Consistency is key here, truly. So whatever you typically would do in a regular day, that's what I would encourage you trying to do during the holidays as well. If you prefer to eat 3 meals and a couple snacks throughout the day, try and keep that consistent with the holidays as well. If you do better with maybe 5 or 6 smaller meals throughout the day, whatever you normally do that. And then we did talk already about putting snacks in your purse and that snacks can go on your carry-on. Don't forget that you can bring food on the plane. Next slide, please, Tracy. So what foods or drinks should you consider limiting or avoiding? Processed foods. We talked about that. High sugar foods and artificial sweeteners. Again, maintaining that blood sugar is really important, and many artificial sweeteners are kind of commonly known migraine triggers, like aspartame, for example, which can be found in diet soda, for example. And then alcohol, of course, and caffeine. So alcohol is a known neurotoxin. It's very dehydrating. It's something that is very common around the holidays. There's going to be drinks everywhere. And if that's something that you desire to enjoy, by all means, enjoy it. But think about what your limit is and what your threshold is that day. Consider how you're feeling and consider what works for you and what has worked for you in the past and consider that route. One thing I did want to show you, if you are a wine drinker, I have never personally used these myself. I got these in a sample, like I don't remember who I got it from, but these are called pure wine wands, and they remove histamine and sulfites, I believe. Yes, histamine and sulfites out of wine, which are 2 of the key things that can trigger headache and migraine from wine. And so you can order those online. Again, it's by the brand Pure Wine. And caffeine can be helpful for some people during a migraine attack, but it can also be a trigger. So again, consistency is important here. If you are used to drinking X amount of coffee in your regular day-to-day life, if you stopped doing that, there's a chance that withdrawal can be a trigger, but also excess caffeine can be a trigger as well. And when you have a to-do list of 97 things to do, it can be really easy to just go through the Starbucks drive-through and grab a latte. Just consider what you normally would do and try to stick to that. Again, consistency is key. And then if you do drink alcohol, um, drink the equivalent in water. Make sure to be drinking water as well. That's so important. And then mocktails are a great option too. The Dizzy Cook, if you follow her, know who she is on social media, she just shared yesterday actually a pomegranate ginger mocktail. You already know how much I love ginger now. And one study, or I'm sorry, we talked already about one study showing that ginger was effective as sumatriptan. So if you can have it in a mocktail and it can actually be helping your health, what a win. And pomegranate has neuroprotective effects. She talks a little bit about that in her post. So let's move along to holiday self-care. So first, I would like to talk about sleep. So sleep is like my favorite thing ever. And it's really easy to like binge watch a new show on Netflix, but just try to remember how important sleep is in your own self-care. Stay as consistent as you can, just like with food and drink, as you're able in comparison to what you normally would do in your regular everyday life. And uh, uh, the American Migraine Foundation recommends avoiding deviation of more than an hour going to bed and waking up. So if you normally go to bed at 10 p.m., try not to deviate from that by more than an hour. Same thing with wake time. And hopefully that consistency will help set you up for success as best as possible. And it's dark at like 4 p.m. now. So use that as a sign to get the sleep you need. As far as naps go, I love napping, but sometimes too long of a nap can be a trigger for me. So, and I think that kind of goes across the board. So, avoiding really long naps and prioritizing getting good sleep at night is what I will always recommend. But if you want to take a short 20 to 30, 40-minute nap, that can be really effective in helping you to allow some time for your brain and your body to just calm down and rest and relax and regain some energy for all the things that you have going on. And then, of course, movement. It's easy to get out of routine during the holidays. And I don't like to use the term exercise. I think that can bring up a lot for people. And I think a lot of times when we think of exercise, we think of like going to the gym and weightlifting and doing HIIT workouts, and it does not need to look like that by any means. Um, I know that movement can be a trigger for some people. And so what I recommend is doing what feels good for you on that day, and that can change and that's okay. I personally love walking and I love doing a little bit of light yoga. I don't do anything super strenuous because it can trigger a migraine attack for me. So just do what feels good for you consistently and try to stay in that routine as much as you're able over the holiday season. And I wanted to note that walking while shopping does count. However, online shopping might make more sense as to avoid the lights and the sounds and the smells at the mall. So And of course, movement helps relieve stress and tension, and it releases endorphins, pain relieving endorphins in our body. So sometimes movement, even just going on a walk outside, can actually bring my pain down quite a bit, bring my symptoms down quite a bit. You know your body best. Play around with movement that you are called to, and again, do what works for you and just be as consistent as you're able. And stress management. Easier said than done, especially this time of year, I know. But as you likely know, stress is one of, if not the most common trigger for migraine attacks. And I think I read a statistic recently that over 80% of people with migraine and headache agree that stress is one of their main triggers. So this is a really important thing to be mindful of. So um, if you're feeling especially stressed out, prioritize you time. Maybe that means going on a walk, planning some time for yourself to unwind, maybe take that Epsom salt bath. Um, don't be afraid to ask for help. I know that, especially if you are a mom and you have children and you want the holidays to be special, you feel like so much is put on you, and I get it, it is, but don't feel badly asking others in your life for help and support. I'm sure that they would be more than happy to help support you. It's the asking part that can be especially difficult. And like I mentioned before, trying to let go of that perfectionism, again, easier said than done, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Meditation, yoga, and deep breathing have all been shown to be very effective tools for stress management. And I also encourage you to get creative. And maybe that looks different for everyone. That could be listening to music or creating some art, doing some crafts. Creativity has been shown to be very stress relieving. So, again, it's going to be unique to everyone. Find what creative outlet feels good for you and prioritize spending a little time doing that, or have that in your back pocket for when you do start feeling especially stressed out. And then reframing thoughts. Also easier said than done, but um, we have over 80,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are exactly the same from day to day. And our subconscious thoughts are often what play out in our real life. So, for example, if you are feeling really stressed out or overwhelmed and you get an attack and you tell yourself, I can't do this, I just can't do this. The likelihood of you not being able to do it is probably quite high if that's what you believe is possible for you. So, as you become aware of those thoughts, which does take some practice becoming aware of our thoughts, I encourage and challenge you to work on reframing those thoughts. So, for example, I can't do this, it's too hard. Reframe that to, it might be hard, but I can handle this. And I know you can, because you have literally handled every single obstacle every single day leading up to this moment right now. I know you can do it. I believe in you. It's easier for others to believe sometimes than ourselves, but I encourage you to try to become aware of those more negative thought patterns and create some healthier reframed thoughts in your mind to support you through this season. You are only human. Be reasonable in what you ask of yourself and others, and disappointing others is not our responsibility. You have to take care of you first. Getting outdoors is maybe my favorite tip of this whole presentation. Um, the average American spends 11% of their time outside. whereas our ancestors 100 years ago probably spent 90% of their time outside. And I truly, wholeheartedly believe that our disconnect from nature is a key reason why chronic illness is so prevalent in our day and age. I realize it's cold out, but like it's gonna be in like the mid 40s tomorrow. So I am pretty excited about that. So on those days that it is a little bit warmer or the sun is shining or you just feel like getting bundled up and going outside and maybe going on a walk or sitting on your front step or sitting on your back porch, whatever you can to get some time outside can be hugely healing and hugely beneficial for you and your self-care. And I did just want to talk a little bit about sunlight and how it relates to sleep. If you are able to expose your retinas, so when I say that, I mean no glasses, no sunglasses, not through a window, even a car window, exposing your bare eyes to sunlight in the morning time, and specifically the first hour of sunlight, can be hugely helpful in regulating your circadian rhythm, which is the entire backbone of supporting your sleep-wake cycle. And additionally, if you're able to expose your eyes to that evening sunlight right before sunset, the hour before sunset, that can be really helpful in regulating circadian rhythm also. And so again, our circadian rhythm, it truly is responsible for every single biological, physiological, enzymatic process in our bodies. And getting outside can help regulate that circadian rhythm, especially in the early morning and the evening. It's helpful anytime to have our eyes exposed to sunlight, but it can be really, really helpful for regulating your sleep-wake cycles if that's something that you do struggle with, especially if you have insomnia, like many of us with migraine and chronic illness do. And also, getting outside gives us a break from indoor toxins like scented candles and air fresheners, perfumes and colognes, hand soaps, and even cigarette smoke. So, getting that fresh air can just be really, really helpful for many different reasons. And then, last but not least, schedule and plan for time to rest. I know that that can be easier said than done. It's a really busy time of year, but just like you would schedule time to do work or a medical appointment, plan in a 15 or 30-minute break for you to rest. Close your eyes, meditate, or just sit and read a book, whatever feels rejuvenating and restful for you. Make sure that you plan that time. You deserve that. Next slide, Tracy. So I believe that you have got this. Navigating the holidays can be tough, but planning ahead and creating a strategy for success can go such a far way. And just know that even if you do everything right, stress is inevitable. It's just a part of life. It can't be avoided, but you do have a choice in how you handle that stress. So again, consistency in your regular day-to-day life during this holiday season is key. Try to be as consistent as you possibly can. Go with your gut. I realize I am here talking and telling you to do all these things, but I am empowering you as an individual to decide for yourself what feels best for you during this holiday season. You know your body better than anyone else does, and don't blame yourself if you get an attack. You live with a neurological disease. You did not cause this attack to happen, even if you partake in one of your known triggers. You live with a neurological condition, and migraine is not your fault. Next slide, please. So as a Mind Plus member, if you were not aware, you are eligible to receive one-on-one health coaching as part of your membership. And I'd love to get to know you a little bit better and hear your story and work with you on some personalized lifestyle techniques that suit you best. And I would love to meet with you if that's something that you're interested in doing. So if you are, give Mind Plus a call and set up an appointment, or you can go online through the portal and set up an appointment with me that way yourself as well. The first session is always an hour long, and then you are eligible for follow-up sessions each month for 30 minutes one-on-one with me. So I would love to get to know you more. Feel free to set up your appointment today. And now we will move along to our Q&A. Tracy, did any questions come in through the chat at all? Oh, no. Did I freeze?
No, you didn't.
Okay, good.
You're still here.
Okay, good. I clicked back to the screen and I saw my face was frozen. I was like, how long have I been talking and no one heard me?
We heard everything. It was wonderful.
Awesome. So does anyone have any questions? Feel free to type them in the chat, or you're welcome at this point to unmute yourself and ask any questions as well. Happy to answer them verbally as well. I'll just give everyone a minute.
I had a question about the ginger.
Yeah.
So it's a supplement, and do you take it every day, or is it just something you take like if you have an upset stomach, or is it really more about gut health, or what is it specifically that it helps with?
Awesome question. So I personally take it preventatively and acutely. And this is just kind of a personal preference of mine because I found that it helps. It really helps me. Um, so this Pure Encapsulations brand ginger, it's 500 milligrams. So I take 1,000 milligrams a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And then if I start feeling a migraine attack come on, that's kind of my first thing that I'll do before I take any pharmaceutical medications is I'll take a ginger supplement. And yes, it helps with gut health. Yes, it helps with nausea, and it even helps with head pain. Um, like I had mentioned that study um, that showed that ginger was as effective as sumatriptan in aborting a migraine attack. This was a research trial that happened, and it was double blind, placebo, top of the line study, and I just could not believe how effective ginger is. And so I found it to be really helpful for me personally. I also love to just use fresh ginger and put it in hot water and drink it as tea also. Um, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Does anyone else have any other questions? Well, I hope that you found this information helpful. This was recorded, and how will we be sharing this with members, Tracy?
Well, we will be offering the video to be seen up to a couple of months from now, and we're working out the process on where to store it, how to share it, but it's going to happen. There's a lot of
Awesome.
valuable information here.
Awesome. Very good. I see someone typing, I think. Oh, you're welcome, Krista. Thank you so much for joining. Well, I think that we are probably all set if no one else has any other questions. So thank you everyone for your time, and I look forward to potentially meeting you in person or via telehealth for a one-on-one session in the future. And one more thing, be sure to follow us online on Facebook and Instagram. Is that, Tracy, are there any other Mind Plus Neurology accounts or just those two?
We also are on Twitter, although we have a very small following. We're working on it. And we also are on LinkedIn.
Awesome. So that is at Mind Plus Neurology, correct?
Or Mind Plus Clinic in some cases. It just depended what was available. We always have the links at the bottom of the emails that will be sent out to you. So you can always click through if you're curious. And I'm likely that's how we'll be sharing the video as well, is via email. So keep a lookout for that.
Perfect. And then I'm also on Instagram personally, and you can find me at Dizzy Sarah Arndt. Again, if you want to schedule an appointment, please contact Mind Plus Neurology. But I share migraine tips and tricks on my personal account, so feel free to follow me at Dizzy Sarah Arndt as well. Thank you again, everyone, for joining today, and have a good night and happy holidays. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.